for his statement. I can now give the floor to the representative of Indonesia.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wish to begin by thanking the Special Coordinator, Nikolai Mladenov, for his important update to the Council on the latest development on the ground. With the unprecedented spread of COVID-19, it is high time for the Council to once again support the Secretary General's call to protect the most vulnerable population and those least able to protect themselves, including people under occupation. The Secretary General also reminded the world that, I quote, "International humanitarian, human rights, and refugee law continue to apply, even and especially in challenging times like this," unquote. Now, with that in mind, I would like to make the following points. First, Israel must not be allowed to continue its path of annexation. Recent development in Israel indicate that the occupying power is persistently aiming at formally annexing parts of Palestinian land in the West Bank. This intention, coupled with Israel's unrelenting statements, demolition of Palestinian properties, and insistent creeping annexation, I repeat, creeping annexation, through its settlement activities, show that the threat of Israel annexation is real and imminent. These are clear violations of international law, including international humanitarian law and various Security Council resolutions. Israel's insistence on continuing this path of annexation would demolish any prospect of peace and destabilize regional stability, and eventually undermine the security interests of Israel itself. We thus urge the Security Council to stand by its solemn mandate to maintain international peace and security and halt Israel's illegitimate action in the West Bank. The Security Council must make a clear stance. Second, it is the legal obligation of Israel to ensure the life and safety of the people under its occupation. Instead of pursuing vicious objective of formally annexing Palestinian lands, Israel should be focusing on discharging its international legal obligation. Unfortunately, this is not the case. Based on OCHA figures since 5th March of 2020, Israel has demolished at least 53 Palestinian properties, conducted hundreds of arrests and raids, killed 3 Palestinians, and injured another 52 persons. Not only are these measures illegal, they also clearly undermine the effort to address the pandemic. Technical coordination between Israeli and Palestinian authorities is a necessity during this crisis. This, however, does not absolve Israel of its legal obligation to provide all necessary measures to enable Palestinians to better cope with COVID-19. Israel must ensure that Palestinians have the required medical facilities and equipment. They must also provide unhindered humanitarian access and stop all punitive and illegal actions against Palestinians, including the Gaza blockade. I also concur with Special Coordinator Nikolai on the need for Israel to release Palestinian detainees in Israeli prison, in particular during this COVID pandemic. Third, the need to ensure the availability of necessary assistance to the Palestinians. Palestine is facing immense challenges, including limited health system capacity and a serious fiscal situation as a result of the occupying power withholding Palestinian revenues. The public health implication of the outbreak of the virus would be catastrophic, not only in Gaza, but also in the West Bank. As also been alluded by Nikolai, there's already cases of COVID in the refugee camps. I take this opportunity to express also my appreciation to all the UN agencies, including UNRWA, as well as the donor countries and various civil society organizations working hard to help Palestine cope with this situation. On emergency response funding, the U.S. $34 million targeted need for the COVID-19 interagency response plan has yet to be fulfilled. And again, this is only limited to 90 days of emergency response funding. It does not cover larger scopes of the problem. I would thus appeal to the international community to extend their support to the Palestinians in this time of greater need. We are in this crisis together, and only by joining hands can we prevail in the crisis. In closing, Mr. President, let us all be reminded that this August Council has a moral and legal obligation to hold Israel accountable for its illegal actions, including ending its occupation of Palestinian lands. Our objective should remain to achieve the vision of a region where two sovereign states, Israel and Palestine, living side by side in peace within secured and recognized borders based on the 4th of June 1967 borders. Finally, I once again reaffirm Indonesia's unequivocal solidarity and support for the Palestinian people, particularly during this difficult time. As tomorrow is the start of the holy month of Ramadan, I appeal for peace and assistance for the people of Palestine. I also would like to echo what my Palestinian brother mentioned just now. Now is the time for the occupying power to be humane and have a heart. I thank you, Mr. President.
I thank the Indonesian representative for